Testing, testing. In this episode, Ella is testing. Yep, it works. The mics work, Nick.
Mics are working?
Yep.
Did she pass her test?
I don't know. We're going to have to find out. That's why we're listening. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's beautiful and sunny in California in December, and that's a very new phenomenon for me, and I love it.
Yeah, and a nice little crisp air outside.
Yeah.
Crisp Cafero air.
Cafero. That's the name of my chip company.
Just in the nick of time.
And that's the name of your watch company. I want to get right into the episode because we have a great episode.
Wait.
Guest, but first,
yeah.
Yes, first.
I just want to say I've been so happy, but also hurt by all the people commenting about old man alarms.
Why are you hurt?
Because they're calling me old. But no, I'm actually
invented the old man
I know, I'm joking. It's been great. It's wonderful that people are engaging with that, and we love your comments. I love seeing them. I read them all. So thank you for listening and for engaging, and please continue to. And
yes.
We'll have an ongoing conversation without ever meeting.
Absolutely. And hopefully we'll meet them someday. We'll do a Comic-Con appearance for Royals of Malibu.
We kind of met one of our fans this week.
We did. Someone reached out saying that their friend was a big fan of the podcast and asked if we could send a cameo-style video for their birthday.
13th birthday. Ella.
Birthday. Ella from Connecticut.
Her name is Ella.
Birthday. Yeah, her name is Ella, so of course she's a fan. She was celebrating her birthday. We sent a nice video. It was our very first cameo, Nick.
Yeah.
Very cool. We're pretty much celebrities now.
No, we're not. Shoot. You thought we were.
I printed the business cards that say Chris Cafero celebrity.
Oh, my God.
Well, I'll have to return them.
Good thing you got a Black Friday deal.
You can return business cards, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ella, thank you for listening. You get our lasagna of the week.
With 13 candles in them.
La 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 lasagna.
La 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 lasagna.
Don't change the key, man.
I didn't change the key. I just did it right.
Whatever. All right. We have a great guest from the Royals of Malibu universe. What do you say we bring her on?
Let's get right into it.
Let's do it.
Our guest this week, you will recognize her voice from two very important characters in the Royals of Malibu. She is a very funny comedian. She is a wonderful actress and voice actress. She plays the roles of Margaret Sinclair and Lucy from the Treasure Cafe. Ladies and gentlemen.
Nick, take your time with this intro. Take your time. You're rushing through it.
Ladies and gentlemen, Miss Steph Sherry.
Woo!
Steph, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much.
My Sherry amor.
Wow.
You're the only one that I adore.
Do we have the rights to that song?
We do now. Steph, hi. Welcome.
Honestly, the fact that you guys greeted me with a song, it makes me feel like I'm getting like the promposal I never got.
Why didn't you get one?
Why didn't I get one? Oh, that's like a story for a different story for another day. I mean, you want to get into like high school trauma? I mean,
we do.
It would make sense given Royals of Malibu.
That's literally the entire theme of this podcast. Is history. So, Steph, tell us, how did you get involved with the Royals of Malibu?
Oh, it's the classic Hollywood tale of my agent sent me an audition and I auditioned, which is not the same as you two.
No, it is. That's exactly how it was.
Well, we didn't get it from our agent, but yes, I knew Matt Sav from college, and Matt Sav asked me to audition. But yeah, same thing. But I auditioned for Reed, and then they offered Chris Reed.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel, Nick?
I think it's very funny. But at the time, I was like, oh, okay.
It was uncomfortable at the time.
For Reed.
Right, because Nick knew Matt from college, and Matt recommended Nick, and then casting reached out and was like, we know that you have brothers. We'd love to hear both of you read and they had me read for Easton and Nick read for Reed. And then they offered me Reed and they offered Nick nothing. And so it was very awkward because I was like, hey, Nick, thanks for bringing me this thing. They just offered me the role. Did you get a call? And he was like, no. And then like 2 weeks later, they had him read for it again. And then they brought him on board.
Literally 2 weeks later, they actively tried to find another Easton. anyone.
I'm
but
so
him.
sorry. But
It's
also,
okay. It worked out.
It worked out
literally, it's just so funny because Nick, you're so talented and you're sensational as Easton. And Chris, you are just like undeniably good as Reed. But I just feel like
thank you.
it's so clear to me that it should be the two of you. But the fact that Nick had to go through such turmoil to get to this same conclusion is entertaining.
Yeah.
It was
Well,
very
it's a
fun.
great lesson.
And
You just got to keep the faith and keep fighting.
having
Yeah.
brothers.
Yeah, mine was
Gotta
not.
keep having a brother.
Yeah, keep having a brother. Mine was not so tumultuous. I just, got the casting from my agent, who's awesome. Her name's Portia, and read for Lucy and Margaret, and I think like a teacher or something that is no longer in the thing, and got a call back, did it again.
She was killed off.
She was killed off brutally, and yeah, I just like knew, like I know we're conveniently doing an episode where I play Margaret, but like Lucy is like my girl, and they were like,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's like Lucy is like me, and I think it was just like, it just felt so effortless. And I feel like so many times you're, doing these, like, I mean, for those of you out there that do voiceover, it's like so many auditions, and it's just ridiculous the amount of ones you got to go through until one finally works out. And whereas like theatrically, it's like, 2 a year or whatever, but for voiceover, it's like thousands and thousands and thousands of notes, and so much of just like desperately trying to mold your voice so it can like conceivably be real as this other thing. And with Lucy, it was literally the first time that I was like, oh, I can just like talk like this. And it was so easy. And I just feel like it was so meant to be. And fun fact, it's actually the gig that had me join SAG.
Oh, that's so cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah. And then SAG went on strike
Just in time for the
shortly
strike.
after.
Oh my gosh. So you paid your dues and then went on strike.
Oh yeah. Paid my dues to then do nothing. But that's
Dues
okay.
and the initiation fee, which is not cheap.
It's not.
No, I had to take out a credit card for that.
Oh yeah, it was actually my dad actually helped me a lot, and my uncle. It was a family effort actually.
That's wonderful. Well, it's worth it. I've been a SAG member since 2008, and SAG literally saved my life with health insurance, and like it's totally
wow.
worth it.
You make enough to get health insurance?
I've been very lucky.
That's a
yes.
flex. For those of you listening, that's a big deal.
Well, I have a question because I don't feel like praising Chris anymore.
Yeah.
Steph, when you got this audition, this is something I was curious about. So it was coupled with, you knew you were going to play Lucy and Madam Sinclair. It wasn't like you read for Lucy and they were like, oh, can you also do, like, did they already couple the parts?
Yes. Yeah. So they've been like coupled since the beginning, which I agree is such a really brilliant choice, because these are the two like mother figures in her life. And I think, so it was fun because the audition was, I'm not going to make any concessions for you. And like, if you want to get here at 6 a.m, fine. You can, this like rough, Lucy character. And then the other side you had to do was like this letter that
a terrible mother.
I what is the deal with the hating on Margaret? Because I just, boys,
not
what's
a
the
good
problem
mom.
here?
Well, listen, okay.
It's mostly me.
First of all, it's mostly Nick. Second of all, I'm a little sympathetic because every time we hear from Margaret, she's like sick or being dumped or something, and she's a single mom, and that's, I think, the hardest
breaking
job
promises
in the world, being a single mother. She does
true.
break promises sometimes, but that's because she was sick. You jerk.
Yeah, there's so much hatred for Margaret from Mr.
I'm
Nick
just
Cafero.
like, why are you going to bring your young daughter to go drop off stuff at your ex-boyfriend's house? That's just not a good move. Like,
listen, where you see inappropriate parenting, I see a mother empowering her daughter to stand up for herself.
Yes. Snaps.
Thank you. She's teaching her the lifelong lesson that is, if someone hurts you, don't take it. She's also teaching her, that clothing is ruined when thrown on grass.
Mm-hmm.
all my clothes.
This
Grass
podcast is
stains
sponsored
are really
by
hard to
Tide
get out.
Pods. Tide Pods. Get out those hard to get stains. I see a woman who's trying her best.
That's right.
You know?
No, you're right.
She's
Honestly,
been dealt a shitty hand. Here's who we should be talking about is Steve Sinclair, Ella's father,
Yeah.
who's a
You're right.
fucking billionaire who doesn't give a dime in child support or alimony, just disappears, dies, and then is like, oh, give it to my friend. Like, he hasn't done anything for his daughter in 16 years. And we're picking on Maggie? That's what I call Margaret Sinclair.
You're right.
That's what I say to that. Yeah. Yeah, I think it's
I'm going to
ridiculous.
call her Midge.
Midge Sinclair.
Mitch
Yeah,
Sinclair.
Steve.
Midge Sinclair.
Steve, whisks this woman into his tornado. It's like all she talks about is how much he was just like so intoxicating and so amazing, but never able to be held. And I just think that, sometimes you get swept up in people like that.
Yeah.
But for you to have a daughter,
actually,
for you to have a daughter and be that wealthy and to just never, and he obviously knows he has a daughter because he leaves it all to her. And what's your deal, bro?
Yeah, very suspicious.
I don't know. Hopefully we find out more. Maybe we'll find out more.
Maybe we will. I also think this discussion is a great intro to episode 9 because, and this is one of the reasons we wanted Steph for this episode, it opens with one of the most emotional scenes of the podcast, of the series. And we open in a hospital room with Margaret
Midge is
Sinclair,
dying.
Yeah, on her deathbed, having her conversation with Lucy, with Ella.
How was it doing that scene?
It was actually really emotional. I have a video that I've shared before of Melissa just was crying. It was just it was a lot actually. I think it was definitely I just think that, I don't know, I'm going to get sentimental, but I just think there's something so magical that happens in that booth. And it's funny because, you can, and I'm sure you guys can relate. There are certain scenes that are just so silly, so just lighthearted. And just when you guys are doing tarot later in this episode, there's so many moments that are just fun and it's just light. And that's what it is. And then
I actually think the tarot is very serious.
It's actually the most profound moment of the series.
Yeah.
But then there are these other moments that, back to back. So all of a sudden you go from okay, I'm just doing a normal thing. And all of a sudden it's I feel time just shifts. And all of a sudden it's you feel everyone stop joking around. And Alyssa locked in and I locked in. And we just did it in 2 takes. And it was just it was honestly one of the most moving moments of my career, because I also I lost both of my grandparents this past year, and I lost my grandpa. Oh, it's okay, thank you. And but I know that moment. I've actually witnessed both of my grandparents in the exact moment that they passed away. With my grandpa, it was just me and him in the room, and I just feel
oh wow,
yeah, I just feel there's my grandpa and I used to always say to each other I love you more, and then he'd be I love you the most. Every time we'd leave, we'd do that. And then I tried to pull up the script in preparation for this, and I no longer have access to the Dropbox. Thank you, everyone. But I've been exiled from the scripts. But I'm trying to remember, was that written or did I improvise that line? But in this scene, Margaret says to Ella, "I love you the most." And it's just this is I just love these moments as actors where life imitates art, and it just feels everything is coalescing in this one moment for a truth to be told.
That's really special. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it was a really, really cool moment, and it was everyone was yeah, great. And I just think, I mean, of course, she's I love you more than Beyonce wardrobe changes, and then it gets silly again. But I just think the core of Ella's character and the reason why she has so much drive and so much heart and so much desire to do the right thing, even if she doesn't necessarily always do the right thing in the moment, she's always trying to do the right thing. And I think it's really cool to have these moments where you realize what she's been through and where she's come from.
Yeah. And I think you do such a wonderful job at portraying Ella's mom, because of, just showed right now how vulnerable and thoughtful you are. And that was the exact moment she had with her daughter. And also her being so honest and being I was so scared when I found out I was pregnant with you, and then you were born and I met you and nothing else mattered, and you were my favorite thing. It's I do poke fun at Ella's mom a lot, but that is a very, very sweet moment.
Yeah. And it's nice to see that she's at peace with what's happening. She talks about the fact that she's had a good life and done a lot of great things. But yeah, your connection with that character, I didn't know this until you told us, but it's it makes perfect sense because that was such a honest and truthful portrayal, and that it came through. So thank you for sharing that.
Thanks, guys.
So we have this great sound design moment where the heart monitor beeps and beeps and beeps and then beep, and we know what happens. And then we are whisked away into a much lighter tone when Easton is reading tarot cards. So earlier in the season, he was reading moon charts. Now he's into tarot cards. Easton's going through
That's
it.
correct. I don't see it as going through it. I think I see it as him living his best ultimate life. It's another sober hobby of his.
And exploring his spirituality. I have a question. Have you ever had a reading, Steph?
Yeah, I actually love tarot. I have a few sets and I don't really know how to do them. And so sometimes if I'm feeling lost in life, which is every day, I'll just like throw them on the floor and be like, this one speaks to me. But I don't really know what I'm doing. But I find it very interesting. I think it's very fun to feel like your whole life can be summarized by a card. But I also understand the skepticism. But also, maybe I don't.
Yeah, but also like if it's not hurting anyone else and you want to believe in something, then go for it. Who cares?
Yeah, I agree.
I agree. It's not something I buy into, but listen, life is hard and confusing, and we all need something to help us sort of discern what we're going through or what lies ahead, and whether that's religion or astrology or moon charts or tarot, if it helps you make sense of
or heavy drugs.
A senseless world. Well, it's heavy drugs. Not so much, Nick. And I know you're a big proponent of drugs, and I have to remind people again that there are consequences to drug use.
I am not a big proponent of drugs, but I am joking. But also it is kind of relevant because he's supplementing that. He's getting away from his drug use by doing stuff like this. So I think it's a very healthy shift in his life, and I am proud of my boy E, which is what I call him now.
Your boy
which
E
happens to also be called. Is also a drug.
He's coincidentally enough, named after a psychedelic.
I'd also like to highlight the fact that Ella has an iconic line in this scene where she goes, "Can we Uno reverse that, please?"
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
I did like that line. I wrote that down as well.
I just died at that because do we think Ella has ever played Uno? And
that's it. I think she probably is. It has made a comeback.
I was going to say that the card games are making a comeback,
and I love that. I love that for society and for the culture.
My girlfriend and I.
We're a Skippo family, but
yeah.
Oh, Skippo, another classic.
Skippo is from the makers of Uno, and
it's basically Uno meets Salatar.
Solitaire. Salatar is a character from Harry Potter. He is the defensive dark arts teacher in book 9. The unreleased book 9.
I don't know. Nick's prophesizing a lot of things today.
Yeah. So Mattel, which is getting into the movie game, they produced Barbie, obviously, which was a massive hit. They are optioning all of their properties to make movies, and there is an Uno movie in the works. It has been greenlit, and it is.
You're
in production.
joking.
I'm not joking.
No,
and I can't.
I think it's a horror movie.
I can't fathom what it could possibly be about.
Yeah, but you know what? If somebody told you about Jumanji, you wouldn't know what that would be about either.
Yes, I would. Jumanji, because Jumanji's about animals coming to life. Uno's just numbers. Like, what are you going to have? Like a numbers?
The wild card of it all.
Bunch of accountants.
Yeah, it's
crunchy numbers.
Just a bunch of primary colors fighting with each other.
Yeah, and then Salatar comes out and casts a spell on everyone.
Salad
drops that take 4 wild. That's the best card you can get.
Yeah, exactly. But they're counting all the cards. She has the epic line, but really the point of this scene is to come up with a game plan of how they're going to get rid of this video. And Easton says, like, you can't get rid of this video unless you have Brooke's passwords, because she's going to have all the originals on her computer and on the clouds and on backups. So they need to go ahead and figure out what all of her passwords is. And they become detectives again. And I think there's a good conversation to be had about what our passwords are, because mine are the same for everything. And I'm positive I will be hacked soon.
What are they? Just share them real quick, particularly if you have Disney Plus, because I got booted off and I really want to watch the Santa Claus.
No.
Why don't you just ask her sister? We use hers.
I did. She won't respond. She's ghosting me when I ask about Disney Plus.
Yeah, she's been hard to contact recently. But can I say something? I was just FaceTiming with her a little while ago, and I was talking to my nephew because he was there, and I had a question about, I want to get him a birthday gift, and I had a question about it. So I said, give your phone to Mom. And I was like, hey, Jacqueline, can I ask you something? Can you like move away from Carmelo? And she walked away from him. And he got really upset because he thought I didn't want to talk to him. But I was like, just trying to ask if he had a certain type of baseball glove. And he started crying, and they had to call me back. Because he like started acting out. Because he's like, Uncle Nicky doesn't want to talk to me. I was like, of course I want to talk to you.
That's very sweet. Anyway, that's very cute.
It's really cute.
I'll delete that. That has nothing to do with this episode, but I
think that's so sweet.
It is sweet. It's also offensive because I was FaceTiming this morning as well, and our nephew was there, and he kept running away from the phone, and I was trying to ask him what he wanted from Santa, and he just kept bolting away from the phone, and I was like, "What? I'm trying to get you some Hot Wheels, bro." Anyway, he'll get nothing.
There's some favoritism.
He'll get nothing, and he'll like it.
Santa's not coming this year.
No, Santa's dead. So
as a Jew,
Santa came for Ella, though.
Yeah, well, I just have to say,
Nick,
I really.
Boo! Wait, okay, Steph. Sorry, if you've listened, you know that Nick forces these transitions every episode.
I love it.
That is a new low, Nick. That was so fucking dumb, and I
Santa came for Ella and let her pass her exams.
And we're back.
But Santa had nothing to do with it. It was hard work and dedication and smarts from Ella. So please do not take away her agency as a woman by giving it to a man and giving the credit to a man.
Santa, first of all, is actually an acronym, and it means so. Actually,
no, it stands for study a lot, then never assignments will you fail.
Again, study a lot, no. Talk about it. Santa.
I don't know if you would make it through the cove. I don't know.
I probably would.
Oh, no.
No. Well, I also have...
get in.
So we went to a public school where there was a very wide range of socioeconomic people, you know? And which was great. Very diverse. But our town also had a lot of rich kids that went to private schools. And I never got along with those kids. There's something about the stuck-up, pretentious rich kid that I don't jive with. So you're right. If I was at the Cove, I'd be like, I hate these people. That's where I connect with Ella the most, where she's like, these people are not living in the real world.
I so agree.
So, Nick, what's happening in this episode after Ella passes on her own?
Well, she goes to get some celebratory drinks, goes into the house, and here's a meltdown happening of Brooke. Brooke is actually, and Brooke is pretty unhinged, but I will say I kind of feel for her in this moment. She's practicing changing diapers, which is very endearing for her soon-to-be kid. She has a total breakdown, and then she loses me because she needs Ella to call her life coach Johan, and she just becomes really obnoxious. But the big part of this is that Ella, in doing so and comforting her and calling her life coach, gets Brooke's passcode to her phone, which allows them to get their heist plans in order, to get the original video, get her emails or texts, and take her to Savannah's class and dive in there and try to find this little sex tape.
Yeah, and it almost seems too easy where you're like, wait, that's all it took for her to get the passcode? But wait till later in the episode.
Just wait. Steph, do you have a passcode on your phone? Or are you one of those crazies?
I do have a passcode on my phone.
Do people not? Are there people who don't?
Yeah, there's some people that don't.
You're joking. Especially with Face ID.
I would never joke. I would literally never joke.
You would literally never.
Yeah, why start now, Nick? So there are people who don't have a password on their laptop, which I think is cray-cray.
Yeah, I just got a new laptop though, and it's a fingerprint system. You need to put your finger down.
Whoa.
That's
I
great.
don't have one that does that. That's fancy.
Yeah, Nick's a fancy boy.
Wow.
Well, I'm not fancy. My other computer just broke, so I needed to get a new one. What do you want me to do about it? Literally, what do you guys want me to do about it? Answer me.
I don't have a preference. I want you to do whatever you want.
We just want you to be happy.
I don't even want that, honestly.
I want to just circle back. I know this isn't part of the episode, but what's crazy when I was re-listening to this, and I'm like, listeners of this podcast probably wouldn't know, but Steph, you, me, and Chris were never in the studio at the same time together.
No.
We've been in so many episodes together, but we never met in person.
Never. I've actually not met.
Isn't that crazy?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Over 2
We didn't
seasons.
meet in person until very recently. Yeah.
It's true. It's
But I also
sad.
felt like I knew you.
I know. Isn't that funny? I really felt like I knew both of you too. It's very weird. The Royals of Malibu universe just connects us all.
I know.
I wonder what a Lucy Easton scene would look like. Reed, you don't seem to have ever stepped foot in the Treasure Cafe, but Easton is there studying with Ella many
Yeah, I feel like him and
times.
Lucy would actually be. I think she would really like Easton.
I think they would have like a really good rapport, actually.
Yeah.
Also, by the way,
Totally.
sidebar. I have been shipping and pitching for years, as in a year, that Lucy and Callum should be an item. That's what I would like
Ooh,
to say.
that would be funny.
Ooh.
It's
I
for
think that's
two,
a great.
parental figures. I think it would be so good.
That would be a great season
Yeah.
3 arc. Steph, I think that Reed and Lucy would not get along because Lucy's talking shit about Reed all the time. Like,
No,
I don't
no,
think he's
listen.
good for you.
Listen.
What's that about?
Listen. I don't think that she thinks that Reed isn't a good guy, but I would agree that his behavior from the outside doesn't seem the most, good. That's
On
what
the
I say.
outside, always looking in.
Will I ever be more than I've always been?
Yeah,
We're
sing
just
it,
going to keep
Steph.
singing. I would love to sing musicals all day.
Here's the thing that Lucy never really chimes in on the fact that Ella's got 2 boyfriends that she's keeping secret from each other.
I know.
Yes, she does. She chimes in on it.
Oh,
She
wait.
chimed in on it last
I
episode.
think there was a scene where I do, and I forgot to. It's been a while.
She does. She says, "I literally hate teenagers." Also, like,
You're
is
right.
this Reed guy really helping you?
Literally, last episode 8, is another big episode of mine where is the whole scene actually that we both have forgotten where she basically is like, you could run for
Yeah.
president one day, kid, but right now you're being
Yeah.
stupid.
That's one of the best scenes in the show. You have there's a lot of good comedy, but also good advice, and it's advice that poor Ella has been missing out on.
Poor Ella.
Yeah.
And you step in there, you fill that void.
There's a scene when real quickly, when Brooke calls her life coach, you hear on the other line him talking, and he's just mumbling like a Peanuts character, just like, and that made me so happy. And I just want to know, maybe we ask Matt who that was,
Who that
and when
was.
they recorded it, because I just love the idea of someone going in the booth and being like, yoga.
I don't know if this is gonna be funny to anyone but me and my twin sister. I have a twin, by the way.
Ooh.
Just dropping facts, dropping knowledge. My sister and I had this Family Feud like CD-ROM game growing up, and it was like so shittily done. And so Family Feud, it's like you're typing in the top answers, and clearly the game had like no budget. So in the real show when they're like, oh, the answer was like, like going to the grocery store, and then the audience will like read them out loud. In this game, it would just be like, no. I
Oh,
can't even do it. I'm not doing it. It would just be like, no.
just
It's not that funny.
Random
But
mumbling.
Phoebe and I thought it was so funny. It was just like everything was like, oh, you're like, they just didn't hire anyone to do this game. It's so
It's a
dumb,
non-union
but yeah.
game. Wait a second.
Totally.
This is a perfect transition because I've been dying to ask
Oh,
you about
good.
this. I researched you in anticipation of this show and saw that you were on a game show hosted by Joey Fatone called Common Knowledge.
How did you see?
It was on your IMDb. Can you please tell me about that? My dream is to be on a TV game show.
Wait,
With Joey Fatone.
with Joey Fatone. I have actually been on several game shows. It's crazy. It's so funny. That one was really hard because I did Funny You Should Ask, which was like this show where there's like a bunch of celebrities that like help you find the answers to trivia, and like me and Tiffany Haddish had like a very cool moment together. But like in this one, she was awesome. In this one, you are just like so on your own, and then Joey Fatone just kind of like comments on what you're doing. And so it was definitely very stressful being on a game show, especially if it's like a trivia game show, because you have you are going to embarrass yourself in front of everyone. And we got to the very, very end. So we beat the team opposite us, and we got to the very, very end. And the way that it works is like each of your team, I was in a team of 3, and each of you goes up one at a time. And it's like on that exact person to like save the day. And I got through like so many questions. And the last one was like, which of these is like an animal that can survive in a cave? And it was like stalactites, stalagmites, stalagmites.
Batman.
It was Batman. You know, if only Nick had been there, we would have won.
Shit, you should have been.
I picked the wrong one and lost it for the whole team. But Joey Fatone, an absolute legend, an absolute delight. He would just talk to everyone. He was so chummy. He was so approachable. He like did 100 episodes in a row, never dipped in energy. Oh, wow. The guy is a legend. Also,
for those of you
I love
listening,
NSYNC.
Joey Fatone was a member of a boy band back in the early 2000s called NSYNC. Which also featured a young man named Lance Bass, J.C. Chazet, Chris Kirkpatrick, and of course, Justin Timberlake.
Yep. And J.C.
Everybody.
Nope, Nick, that's Backstreet Boys. Literally, the next line is Backstreet back. All right, stop it. Shut up. We don't own the rights to that song. You don't even know. You have no.
You don't own the rights to even sing that song.
Yeah.
I would love to. I don't know. Family Feud would be fun, but I would love to be on like an HGTV. Hey, no, you know what? No, I want to be on Is It Cake?
You can't bake.
But I could judge it.
You can judge a cake.
You want to be a judge on Is It Cake?
You don't know I can't bake.
Yes, I do. Can you bake? Answer the question.
No, you don't.
Can you bake?
Yeah, I have an air fryer. Yeah.
You can bake a cake that looks like a shoe.
Have you ever tried?
Indistinguishable from a shoe.
They don't bake it. They just. I just want to be the guy that's like, that's cake and that's not cake. You don't always have to bake it.
That's not how is it.
Yeah, you just have to be a good judge of cake.
Oh my God.
Thank you, and I think I am.
It's a terrible answer.
I think I'm a great judge of cake.
It's the worst fucking answer I've ever heard in my life.
He wants to be on the show where he points at something and goes, "It's cake."
Speaking of,
oh, here it comes. What do you got, you fucking loser? What do you got? Go ahead. What is
Here it comes.
Here it comes. What is it?
Well,
fucking moron.
it's just my birthday is in June, so I never got to bring cake to school for people. But at their school, Savannah is a tour guide. And she's giving a tour to the incoming students. When's your birthday, Steph?
August 7th, and I also never got to have a birthday at school.
Yeah.
That's so
But I did
sad.
give tours.
You did give tours of your
at the University of Virginia.
Okay, that makes sense. College tours. I think it's hilarious that they're giving tours of a high school. Like the tour of my high school would take 5 minutes. It's like one building.
That's so true.
You know,
this is the
it's also the difference between like West Coast and East Coast. Like I'm sure you guys are like us. It's like one building and maybe there's like a portable. You know, that's it. It's like over there, they have like a fucking campus.
They do say in her tour, she's like, "This is the quad," and that was like, I was like, "Really? You guys have a quad?"
Nick doesn't, because he skips legs day all the time.
I have very thin legs. I atrophy at an accelerated rate.
You don't have to brag about it, Nick. Okay, let's get back on track. Savannah and Ella have their big fight.
Yeah, it's actually a great scene. It's a great fight.
I agree.
Yeah, and it's like, it was really great writing. Props to the writers when, because you're on Ella's side because we only really see her point of view, and then all of a sudden, Savannah's like, "No, we were never friends. All I do is clean up after you. You left and did what's best for you, and I was here cleaning up the mess with Savannah and Easton, and they were having meltdowns. You didn't even listen to me when we were talking about David." And she's like, "Everyone's going to call me the huge bitch, but like the truth is I'm the only one that will call you out on your bullshit." And I was like, "Damn, girl, that's my Savannah banana." I was so proud of her.
Yeah, it honestly was like really refreshing to see Ella get called out for once, because she does just kind of leave people on red and hope that they just forgive her.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that, because I was like, especially listening to this episode, I'm like, listen, I'm still team Ella, because I know where the money comes from. But I do think she doesn't always make the best decisions, so it is nice to have somebody call her out.
Yeah, and even last episode when she reveals the sort of love triangle, both guys are so nice to her. We talked about this on the last episode, but no one calls her out and says, "Hey, girl, you can't just date two dudes and not tell each other." And so Savannah's like, "No, this is some BS." It was refreshing.
We all need that friend. We need that accountability friend.
Yeah, I actually found it very satisfying that because I think, Ella's our protagonist and we love her. And there's been a lot of, as you've mentioned, like moments where she kind of keeps getting off like scot-free. And I feel like it was really satisfying to be like, wait, like, because also it's not even just shitting on Ella for the sake of shitting on Ella. It's like we need her to realize the ways in which she's hurting everyone around her so she can grow,
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Just want her to be better.
Everyone needs that. Everyone needs that. And so often in shows, the protagonist is like untouchable.
Yeah.
And our writers made her touchable. And I was really touched by that.
Touching.
A bowl.
Touching.
Nice.
I love that.
But the big thing here is that Savannah gives her the master key and says, "I'm not doing this for you. I'm doing it for Easton." And thank you. Thank you so much, Hannah.
Yeah. Savannah gives, after this fight, she like circles back and says, "Here you go. I'm going to help you out by giving you the key to Brooke's locker at the yoga studio so you can sneak into her phone." And then she does. But she gets caught, which is so funny. She's snooping in the phone, and Brooke, I really like this too, because again, this episode we're seeing different colors of different characters. Brooke comes in and it's like, playing sort of dumb, like, "What are you doing?" And then at the end, she's like, "If you ever go through my phone again, I'll ruin you." And so Brooke
that was a baller move.
Brooke is smarter than she appears. She's not some ditzy dumb idiot. She knows what's going on. And she's very manipulative. She's very conniving.
Not great at making passwords.
Not good.
But she is very smart at the other stuff. Yeah, she uses the Malibu area code.
And Peaches with an @
Peaches 91, which let me just say, I was like, oh my God, am I the same age as Brooke?
I know. I thought that too, because I'm a 91. Whoops, we're admitting our ages.
So Brooke threatens Ella and says, "I will ruin you if you do this again."
Baller.
So then this episode sort of takes a turn, and the podcast sort of becomes a little bit of like a Spy Kids murder mystery. Not murder mystery, but mystery, where they're sort of teaming up.
They call out Spy Kids too.
Spy Kids too, to Floop is Batman, help us save us. That's an old man alarm.
No, that's not an old man alarm. That is a paying homage to a classic.
Homage.
Good for you.
Thanks.
You could say homage.
So they team up and they're like, "Okay, we have to come up with a plan because Brooke's on to us. So now what do we do?" And Easton, little brilliant Easton, comes up with an idea. What does he come up with, Nick?
Little ugly hot genius Easton, which I don't know how I feel about that description. I should probably
has the word hot in
my
it.
Instagram bio.
Has the word hot.
I'm ugly hot.
Yeah.
This was a fun scene to do in the booth, because I remember I was acting like I was on a computer. And it's also very funny because I'm so bad with technology. I mean, if you listen to our last episode, you will hear that I clearly did not know how to set my mic up properly.
No.
Yeah. So Easton finds the location data on the video. He finds out it's from Shotgun VFX, and then Reed's all like, I'm going to go beat the guy up. Where is it? And Chris, I'm glad that this happened, because this happened in real life. Steph.
Really? What part?
I was in high school, a senior in high school. Chris had just graduated college. He was home. It was in the spring, and somebody stole my wallet out of the baseball locker room and used the credit card that was in my wallet and spent like $600 on stuff all around town, on like sneakers and all this stuff. And it was my mom's credit card, so it kept getting billed to her, and she was like, "What is going on?" So Chris and I went into detective mode. We found out the stores that they were going to, called all of the stores, got the video surveillance footage, figured out who it was, and then Chris was like, I'm gonna beat him. I gotta call him. I was like, no, like don't. But then he did. He was like older brother mode, called the guy once we figured out who it was. And what do you remember what happened after that, Chris? You confronted him.
Yeah, I confronted him on the phone, and then I think our parents knew each other, and so they spoke and were eventually reimbursed. Although I think the credit card was like considered fraud, but what they did was, because when you have fraud on your credit card, it's the vendor who gets screwed over because they're giving away the product, but they're not getting the money. So I think that our parents spoke to this kid's parents, and he ended up repaying the vendors for their lost money. And so all was well that ended well.
But before that, you called him.
I called him, and
then I think he had to give me my wallet back in the parking lot of the school.
Did you know this kid?
Yeah, he was a year younger than me at the high school. And I felt weird because I was like, Chris did all the work, like, and then I felt like a little wimp. Like Big Brother had to take care of me. But it was just funny because it reminded me of the scene. And there are so many ways, countless ways that Chris and I are not like our characters. But this one was pretty accurate.
But the thing that pissed me off the most about it was we went to one of the stores. It was like a dollar store, and they showed us the receipt, and he had signed my mother's name. And there was something about like this little shit kid signing and forging my mother's name to buy, fucking Nerds Rope or whatever. It really just was like, I can't let this go. So me and Nick went into detective mode. And Nick, you stood your ground and held your own. I mean, I was much more angry about it, but you weren't like some cowering little baby in the corner.
No, I wasn't. But this is something that I don't, maybe it's because I'm the youngest child, but you were very much like very protective and like wouldn't let me get on the phone. But I did have to confront him at school. Yeah. And I think it was like, if you ever mess with my family again, I will curse you.
Has there ever been a time, Chris, that Nick's come to your aid?
Yeah. I don't have any examples that I could ever think of, either now or in the future, but I'm sure. No, yes.
When?
I'm just curious.
Well, so Nick is he's very protective, but he's also very like, maternal's not the word, but if you're sick or if you're injured or something, he's very nurturing and caring. Like he'll go shopping for you or make you something or bring you things. And that's Nick's way of showing love. There was one time recently where my girlfriend was on a jog and she called me, and I was at lunch in West Hollywood. She was running around our neighborhood and she was like, someone is following me. This guy is harassing me in his car and chasing me. Yeah. And I'm scared. I don't know what to do. He keeps following me in his car, and she's running. And so I was like, okay, stay where keep moving or stay where you are, whatever is safest. And I called Nick and was like, Nick, Natalie needs your help. And so Nick was like, where is she? And Nick jumped in his car and drove and picked her up. And so Nick was very much the hero in that situation.
I brought a baseball bat.
He's like, this is for the Mets.
Yeah.
And then he swung and missed. Nick! Same joke, boys.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm witnessing something magical.
So what a great episode. What do you say we get into some decrees?
Oh, yes.
I'm into it.
Hear ye, a royal decree.
Steph, would you like to go first?
You want to start us off?
Sure. I was thinking a lot about this, about like what pisses me off, what, cultural phenomenon am I angry about lately, wanted to have a very hot take on something that's like both relevant and witty. And all I could think of, which is a little bit sentimental, which I think is secretly who I really am, is that I am just so done with people pleasing. And my royal decree is that I want to do in this upcoming 2024 what I want to do. and I don't want to need someone to give me permission to do it. I don't want to be scared that someone's going to judge me for it. I want to do what I want to do when I want to do it. And I want everyone out there who's listening, both your parents and my parents, to also follow what they want to do. Because I just think I have lived so much of my life either thinking about what other people want or catering to what other people want and just not having the confidence or the chutzpah to just
There it is.
There it is. To just do what I want to do. And I just think this is the year of being shameless and giving no fucks.
And getting arrested.
That's amazing.
For
And
not
getting
following any rules.
But that kind of is a little bit related to my decree, because I'm also in that end of the, we're currently recording this in December. It's kind of tis the season. We're getting into the new year, and I've been thinking a lot about that. And so I am going to decree that in this season of celebration and of turning the new leaf into the new year, I decree that you pick up the phone and call somebody that would not be expecting a call from you and just have a nice little conversation with them.
Oh,
That's my decree.
I love it.
Whether
who's
it's
going to be your first call, Nick?
the first one that comes to my head is Aunt Dorothy.
Wow. Aunt Dorothy is our 97-year-old aunt who still lives on her own in Manhattan, downtown Manhattan. She's an incredible woman.
Wow.
That's a good one,
Yeah.
Nick. You should call Aunt Dorothy.
give her
And
a
I'm pretty
call.
sure she's a huge fan of the Royals of Malibu. That's only funny to us because she is like basically a step below a nun. The most conservative, lowercase c conservative that you could possibly imagine.
Yeah, you better not show her any of your sex scenes, Chris, because she
No,
might just
no,
not
no.
be here anymore.
Luckily, her hearing's not great, so podcast medium isn't
Yeah.
something she's going to rush to. What about you, Chris? What's your decree?
My decree, and I make this decree on the day of SantaCon, is that everybody should do SantaCon. And I know that this is going to be controversial, and I sort of alluded to it in our Halloween episode. But SantaCon gets a bad rap. I did SantaCon when I was younger. It was some of the most fun I'd ever had. I know that some people get too debaucherous and outrageous and harm small businesses, but it is so much fun to get dressed up with your friends in the afternoon, have parties, enjoy and celebrate the season. People get creative with their costumes. And I just think it is so much fun. It drives economic growth for bars and restaurants, and people shit on it. It's just people having a good time. Lighten up.
You know, I think it's great. I think that no one should be put down for having spirit.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that.
I also want to state for the record, I understand when people age out of SantaCon and that being annoying, which is fine. Right now, I would never want to be in the middle of a SantaCon bar crawl or whatever, but I am glad that people are enjoying it. And I think they should be encouraged to do it.
You know, you've really changed my mind in this exact moment in time, because I was someone growing up in New York thinking it was god awful. As someone who served at restaurants in New York, it's god awful. And you know what? Like, if someone had told me you don't get to dress up for the Eras tour and you don't get to you don't get to show your Taylor Swift pride in all of its colors and in my fabulous sequined outfit, like, I would be sad. And so, you know what? When you liken it to that, let your SantaCon freak flag fly. Everyone everywhere, Christian or not, everyone should be Santa this year.
Steph Sherry, this has been such a treat. You're so great on the podcast. You're even greater in person. We thank you for sharing your talents and your time and your sense of humor with us. Where can our viewers find you? And do you have anything coming up that you want to plug or promote?
Yeah, it's Steph Sherry on Instagram and on TikTok, which I have recently beginning to post on. I've been sharing my incredible Eras tour videos to mediocre but notable success.
Got to start somewhere.
In terms of things coming up, I am actually going to be releasing my own podcast that is produced by our own Lindsay Plusar.
Wonderful.
Oh, wow. Good for you. Oh, I'm so excited.
Can you share what type or what it's about?
Yeah, it's called Late to the Party. And it's basically inspired by the fact that I feel like I'm nowhere where I thought I would be at 32. And I just feel like I feel so like perpetually late. And I also feel like I've never truly followed through on this lifelong dream of mine, which is to have my own podcast. And so you're going to watch me follow through on this dream in real time and figure out how to do it while interviewing others about how they did it. And so it's like all about like, what are those moments in your life where you make that decision or you finally take that risk, or perhaps it's a moment in your life where something out of nowhere forced you to switch direction. But like, how does one pivot? How does one follow through? And how can we all together stop holding ourselves back?
That's
I
amazing.
love that.
You know, I had an acting teacher that said, he would always say, you are where you need to be when you need to be. And that sticks with me. And I think we are happy that you are to be with us right now.
I am happy to be with you as well.
Steph Sherry, it's been a treat. Thank you so much. Hopefully, if they let us keep going, we'll have you back.
I look forward to it, Cafero boys.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
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 Have a great day.